Kevin, congratulations on a massive win on Saturday. What's the feedback from around the world like for you?
Well, I've done a lot of press in the UK since the fight on Saturday, and they were very impressed with Joe. And a lot of people said they thought we had bitten off too much at this stage of Joe's career, only being a pro for a little over 3 years, to challenge a fighter like Carlos Takam, who was very respected, very feared by a lot of the other top heavyweights. So for Joe to get such a convincing win on the scorecards against a fighter like Carlos Takam has got us a lot of press in the UK. Joe was trending on Twitter over there over the weekend, and has picked up thousands more fans in the UK.
Yeah, I saw that there was a tweet, text from Tyson Fury. Seems like a close relationship between the two, Tyson and Joseph.
Yeah, well, Tyson's. We've always supported Tyson, and we have so much respect for him as the world heavyweight champion, and for him to come out and say, "Hey, well done, welcome to the world of heavyweight boxing. You now belong at the top." Beating a fighter like Carlos Takam, and Tyson was well aware just what Takam brought to it.
Yeah.
And he said, for a young guy like Joe, he performed very well. Sure, there were things in the fight that
I was going to ask you about that.
That really I wasn't happy about. Things that I know that Joe could do so much better, and that's the exciting thing for us, is that we fought a fight against a fighter who had had 2 losses in 11 years. A fighter who'd been dodged by so many other of the heavyweights around the world, and yet we still got a unanimous decision on a night when I honestly believe that Joseph Parker fought, for me, a substandard fight, because Joe was capable of so much more. He's so much better than that.
What were the deficiencies from your point of view?
Well, there were a couple of very frustrating things. One is, we spent the whole training camp with his hands up very high. 105 rounds of sparring, there were no dropping the hands. Joe knew the style that Takam brought, that when you finish punching, you can't stand in front of him. You have to put a block out there, or you move to the side. Joe would hit Takam and stand there, and of course Takam would come straight back at him. Joe would also pull back in a straight line. Simple, basic errors that he knows so much better. And also, when you are under pressure, when you are under attack, you don't make yourself taller by standing up with your head in the air. You make yourself smaller.
Yeah.
So those things were very, very frustrating for me as a coach, because he works through those things so much better in the gym.
Now, there is a view out there, and I, for one, think that if Takam was as busy as Joseph, or threw as many punches as Joseph, that he could have scored more points, and maybe a different result as the outcome.
Well, of course, the same thing can be said in any fight. But I mean, Joe landed some good body shots. He wore him down a little. Joe also hit Takam very hard on a couple of occasions. And we know he's resilient. We know that Takam is durable. I told everybody beforehand, this is a 50-50 fight. This is a fight that I expected to go 12 rounds. I didn't think we would knock Takam out.
Right. Was Joseph, did he have enough stamina on the night? Did he run out of breath? Is what I'm asking.
What I believe actually happened on the night was, I think the nervous energy actually zapped a lot of energy from Joe.
Yeah.
I think that the pressure that he had handled so well leading up to the fight, I saw about an hour before we walked out, I just saw a couple of little things that concerned me in the dressing room, and I think that maybe the pressure and the nerves got to him a little bit, and when that happens, that saps a lot of energy from you. Also, in rounds 5 and 6, where Joe was weathering the storm of a lot of heavy blows from Takam, they also take a lot of energy out of you.
Yes.
But the great thing that we've learnt about Joe is that he can go to a very dark place in a fight, and he can regroup. He can finish, he can survive, he can come back out, get refocused, get his composure back, and get back on the game plan. So I think not only did our team find out a lot more about Joseph Parker on Saturday night, but I think Joseph Parker found out a lot more about himself.
And now we have the big fight announcement with Solomona Haumono on the 21st of July. How significant is this matchup for you, for Joseph?
Well, every single time that Joseph fights now, we are under enormous pressure because every fight is like our world title fight, because now that we have secured this #1 mandatory position with the IBF, if we were to lose, we lose everything. We lose our opportunity of fighting for the world title. So that puts Joseph under pressure, it puts his training staff under pressure, it puts his management team under pressure, it puts his promoters, Duco Events, under pressure, because we have to be victorious, and we have to win all our fights now leading up to this world title fight.
Takam is a good puncher, but Solomona is a better one and a much heavier puncher, so he could really knock Joseph out.
Solomona has very heavy hands.
Yep.
You know, you only have to look at the legs on the man. He has huge, powerful legs, great big calves. We have a lot of respect for his punching power, and the reason why we chose this fight is every time that Joseph enters the ring, we have a test and a challenge for him. The test here is a defensive test. If Joseph has his hands down and allows Solomon to clip him with the right hand, we could be in big trouble. So it's going to be very, very important that this fight, that the focus is on point, that his hands are up high, and that defensively he is very sound in this fight, because if his chin is in the air and his hands are down, we could get knocked out.
Okay, all right, so I mean we don't want that. What's the plan from here on in? It's only about 8 weeks to the fight.
Well, the plan is that Joe's going on holiday now for the next week and a half. Then we do a 5-week training camp in Las Vegas. We come back here and do a 2-week camp here in New Zealand. Joe's in very good shape, even though, you know, like he looked a little gassed. I think it was more the nervous energy on the night than anything else, because his breathing, his heart rate, his blood pressure, everything leading up to the fight was perfect. So he's in good shape. He just needs to freshen up now, have a little bit of time to himself, forget about boxing for the next 2 weeks, and then we start focusing on Haumono.
Past Haumono, there should surely be another bout before the match up with Anthony Joshua. Is that likely going to be in Europe?
Possibly. You know, we're talking about taking a fight to Europe. It may also be in New Zealand. Like we haven't locked anything in as yet, but you know, a trip to the UK is something that, as a team, we've been discussing to introduce Joe to the UK public and also the UK media prior to a world title fight.
Kevin, thank you very much for your time.
My pleasure.